and welcome to Rubbin Minds. My name is Isabella Adediji, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to Rubbin Minds. It's been 8 years of the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration, and we are looking forward to a new administration led by the president-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. For 8 years, we've been promised change and next level. And we go down memory lane and see how well this administration delivered on change and the next level. Joining me in the studio is a legal practitioner, Adiola Onikoyi. Welcome to Rubbin Minds.
Thank you for having me.
So 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, do you believe this administration delivered on change and taking us to the next level?
That's a difficult one, to be honest. Change depends on what type of change we're talking about, right? Some would say change for the better. Some would look at things like infrastructure. Some would look at things in the agriculture sector too and say, you know, things have changed for the better in the country. While others would look at things like unity in the country, others would look at things like security and say maybe things have not changed for the better in the country. So it depends on how you look at it.
I think if you're looking at change, the administration came in promising change in terms of corruption, in terms of security, and obviously the economy. And we're looking at an administration that's had to deal with security issues year in, year out. We have insurgency, we have clashes between herdsmen and farmers. Yes. So in terms of change, I know they were promising positive change. If you were to put a figure in grading this administration, say 100% being the highest,
right,
what would you give it?
Another tough question. 100%. 100% being the highest, right? I would put it in the middle, right? I would put it in the middle.
So 50% means a pass mark. So you give this administration a pass mark?
Overall.
So let's look at security. How well has this administration done?
Well, security is one of the ones that would bring the scores down because earlier on it got worse. We can't say with terms with, when we're talking about Boko Haram, it has gotten better when we're talking about Boko Haram, but then again, other security threats have come up. And those ones, this government seems not to be able to get a grasp on them. So we're talking about what's going on in the East, what's going on in the Middle East, clashes herdsmen and farmers, as you said. So I think, no, when it comes to security, I don't think this government has done so well.
Okay, let's move to the economy. I think there was a time when Nigerians almost had made up their minds that, look, the dollar might go up to 1,000 naira.
Yes.
And they'd already accepted that reality. How well has this government done in attracting foreign direct investments, in growing the economy, and even reducing the debt profile?
Right. So the debt profile one, I think that one has gone out of control now. To be honest, I think it's gone out of control now. We just keep borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. And the government agencies keep telling us that borrowing is not so bad, right? If you're doing something with it, and we shouldn't worry about the debt to GDP ratio and stuff like that.
And do you feel that the monies being borrowed are used
judiciously? No, I do not believe so, because if they were, we would see the effects right now. Now, as I said earlier on, we could talk about infrastructure, right? And some would say this government has laid very strong foundations there. And, you know, we should also not forget COVID, right? COVID really impacted the economy, not just in Nigeria, but around the world. But then again, those still sort of sound like excuses at the end of the day. If you come in promising heaven and everything that this government promised and you fail to deliver not even up to 40% of it when it comes to the economy.
I mean,
then
Nigeria
questions
is
need to
being
be
considered
asked.
as the poverty capital of
the world right now, yes.
So we're looking at millions who are impoverished, there are
Yes.
no jobs, and
Yes.
unemployment is on the rise.
Yes.
And even the cost of food and basic services have gone up. So there's a lot of inflation. And I know you pointed out that this is a worldwide thing, but how well has this government been able to react to all these changes?
Right. So I think if this government was more, in my opinion, if they were more coordinated, right, if the policies were more coordinated, if we're not hearing a different thing from the finance minister and the CBN governor and, the budget minister and all of these important ministries, if they do not coordinate, what we have is what we would have, right? We seem to have forgotten the shambolic Naira thing that happened in the past, right?
No, we haven't forgotten it. I mean,
because it seems
the Naira, there was a
when was the last
scarcity
time
of
you
the
saw new notes?
Naira.
When was the last time you saw new notes?
Maybe probably in April.
Exactly.
And I've just been seeing the old notes. I mean,
right
we
now.
were buying money.
It seemed it was needless, right? It seemed there was no need for that, but that further pushed a lot of Nigerians into poverty. For what reason? Right, so the uncoordinated way this government has done the economy, I believe, yes, it's part of the reason why we're where we are.
Okay, we've looked at security, we've looked at the economy. I think the next one we'll look at is representation.
Right.
So there's been that clamor for more young people to get involved in politics. Not too young to run was very big. And then also inclusivity in terms of females. So having more women in decision-making positions. How well has this government done in ensuring there's more representation, not just in the federal level, but across the local, state, and federal level? Right.
So I think the passing of the bills were a good thing in and of themselves, right? I think the encouragement that has been given to young people to run, slashing the fees, same thing with women, slashing the fees for nomination forms and contesting and things like that. Good steps, right? But at the end of the day, we still live in a society where it takes a lot of money to run elections. And young people do not have that kind of election money. That's the truth. And so there is still an imbalance there. And until we do something about money in our politics, not too young to run, a fantastic idea, but it would still be a dream because we would get young people who would, get elected into positions. But you also have to then look at the background of how some of these young people got into this.
So you're looking at godfatherism, godmotherism,
tokenism, right?
Tokenism.
Being a matter of, okay, you're a young person, people have been clamoring for, young people to run, just go ahead. You're the son of somebody, but just go ahead.
So do you feel that those people that end up in elected positions as a result of a godfather or tokenism or godmother, they're mere puppets and they have to give back to their benefactors?
It's going to be hard not to be a puppet. I would assume, I don't know any one of them, but I would assume the mentality would be, let's just get there and, I would do the good I would do. But at the end of the day, if the reason you got there is not of your own volition, is not from the people's support of you, right? It's because someone backed you. That person is holding you there. And so if you want to stay there, you would want to do what the person wants. And so, yes, I believe it affects the way some of these young people act. And we have seen it in our politics, both at the legislature level and the executive level.
Okay, now let's move to infrastructure. I know this administration is very big on some of the gains they've made in terms of building of roads, development of the rail infrastructure, and a lot of monies have been going into that. Early on in this administration, there was the excuse of, we've inherited a huge problem from the earlier administration, and they were just trying to sort of get their heads wrapped around that. But now they've come out to say, well, we've made some improvements in infrastructure. How well will you rate the growth in that sector?
In that sector, I think it's, as they keep telling us and reminding us over and over again, it's one of the biggest achievements of this government, infrastructure. So kudos to the government on that. Some would question the amount of money spent on these infrastructure projects, but at least there's something there. And infrastructure is the bedrock, it's the backbone of every economy, right? just the mere fact of you investing in infrastructure creates jobs, and the long-term investment of having viable infrastructure in a country pays for itself in the long term. So that is good. They've done well with that. So I would say yes, they've done well with that.
But if this infrastructure is there and is meant to create jobs and to stimulate the economy and attract, say, foreign direct investment, why do we see increasing numbers of people going abroad to seek better fortunes? I mean, the whole Japa phenomenon has become a thing. And I know each and every one of us knows someone who has ended up going either to Canada, the United States, to England. So why isn't there infrastructure development enough to retain this talent? And what effect will it have in the long term, having our doctors abroad, for example, having a lot of our skilled personnel all migrating?
Right. So when it comes to the Japa phenomenon, I think we have to look at it in sorts of different case scenarios, right? Because people tend to just generalize and put it all down to people want to leave this country because the country is bad. Yes, people do. But you talked about doctors right now, for example. The reason for that is simple: pay. Right. If you have the opportunity to go somewhere where you would be paid more, where you would be respected more, you would go there. When you talk about a lot of young people, education, you know, how many young people would want to stay behind in a country where the schools can shut down at any moment and go that way for 2-3 years, you know, disrupting entire lives? For what reason? And so people would want to go abroad for that. And so there are different reasons for people wanting to go. And so we need to realize that. But of course, yes, if the economy were better, people would want to stay.
Okay. You're saying looking at JACPA in different cases. So if we look at the medical situation, I know there was a bill, quite controversial, that came up in the news about having to force them to stay back, to give back to their country, maybe based on just how much or how cheap it is to get a medical degree here, compared to, say, the United States, where you would first study something for 4 years before the main. Yes. So do you think that's the kind of response that will address this issue while the pay gets better, the infrastructure is there, the education system gets better?
Yes. You know, it's funny that the National Assembly will bring up that bill, because every time we talk about medical tourism, right, and the elites traveling abroad, they seem not to want to come forward with the bill that would stop them and their children from going abroad to seek medical help. But they want to stop our brightest minds from going outside the country to seek, you know, better lives for themselves. I think that's a bit hypocritical, right? And so that just shows where the minds of the people who have brought up such bills are. It's not a solution to anything. It's not a solution to anything. It doesn't. I don't even think it would be constitutional, you know, stopping the freedom of movement of people just because they're medical doctors. It's nothing.
Interesting you should raise the issue of education again. Some would say that there's been a huge emphasis on university education. Do you think this administration has done more to create more kinds of institutions, say your technical institutions, vocational studies, different pathways into the job market?
Right. I think they've attempted to. I think they've attempted to. At the same time, we've also seen a sort of trend where state governments are beginning to convert technical colleges and the likes into universities, right? Almost as if we don't need technical colleges, and we do. So the government's investment in those technical colleges, yes, I think that's good. But then again, are we going to run into the same sort of troubles we've had with the universities, right? Are we going to have the same sort of funding issues? Are we going to have the same sort of lack of proper equipment? Because when we're talking of technical education, you need proper equipment. It's not just books and paper and stuff. You need proper equipment. So how is that going to be provided for these institutions, these new institutes and the like? So we need to watch out for that. And going by Nigerian government's track record, I'm not optimistic.
So earlier in this conversation, you said you give this administration a 50% or a pass mark.
Yes.
And one of the biggest
beginning
things...
to rethink that now.
One of the biggest things that came out is the infrastructure. But beyond infrastructure, where else will you say this administration has shone through and has delivered on its promise of positive change and taking Nigerians to the next level?
I think the administration has tried in agriculture. I think they've attempted to improve our food production. I don't think shutting down the border was a solution to it. Once again, mismatched policies. But I think the ramp up of grants and loans and the likes and access to capital that they've given farmers, I think that has been a positive aspect.
But are we seeing that translate into, say, food prices? I mean,
No,
are we seeing that translate into more people going into agriculture?
Because at the sorry to interrupt you. So at the end of the day, right, agriculture is there, but then again, you have farmers who have had access to capital, have produced the foods. Now to get the food from the farm to the market, we still have the bad roads, right? We still have the network links, the transport links that do not really connect. And so that also affects the price of the goods. Insecurity affects the price of the goods, right? So they've done well in that.
How well have they done in even generating revenue through agriculture?
Through agriculture.
In terms of, I mean, the color of the flag is green, and
Yes.
we were taught in primary school that represented agriculture. So one would think...
It seems we've gone back to the old ways of seeing oil as it, right? The government does the right things. They say the right things about green policy and the likes, but the policy that we've seen over the last couple of years has been, yes, let's invest in agriculture and let's give farmers, it's almost like let's give farmers a lot of money, let them handle it, right? While we concentrate on this huge thing, which is our oil, and try and ramp up production, Dangote refinery, getting online and all that, try and create more wealth through that oil.
So you want to see the government invest across the value chain? We're looking at distribution, we're looking at export, we're looking at processing, not just making grants and loans available.
Because at the end of the day, these grants and loans have become subject to a lot of corruption. Right, and we've seen a lot of stories of farmers borrowing a lot of money, not returning it, and seeing it as, you know, their own share of the national cake. So, you know.
And corruption has always been a big issue. Every administration promises to deal with corruption. Do you think President Muhammadu Buhari dealt with corruption?
No, I don't. The cases are there for to see.
Do you think it's his fault, or it's maybe just how slow our judicial system is, or it's a number of factors?
It's a number of factors, but I think we're always getting told to watch the president's body language. I think the president's body language on corruption has been mixed, right? You know, the things he said about one of the most corrupt men in the history of this country, where, you know, the man we keep receiving credit a lot from overseas, and, you know, the president had very nice words to say about him. I think the president's body language has been mixed. I think the EFCC has been doing well, but I think they've been more they've been concentrating more on small fry, right? They've been going after Yahoo boys here and there, and, you know, the big politicians that are staring us in the face, even the ones with video evidence, they seem not to be able to do anything about it. So it's a mixed match, but overall, I don't think this government's done well with corruption now.
Finally, what does this new administration that we're about to usher in, I mean, they're promising renewed hope to Nigerians, but what do they need to do to turn things around for the fortunes of this country? I mean, we grew up believing that Nigeria is the giant of Africa, but by economic standards, by living standards, GDP, there's so many standards that we're just not measuring up.
No, we're not.
And we're not realizing our full potential. So what does this incoming administration need to do to ensure that Nigerians get what they've been promised?
Right. So I always talk about the economy, right? I always say you need to concentrate on the economy, because the economy is doing well, things will come along, right? And that is one of our biggest problems right now. We need our economy to be kickstarted. It seems almost as if the country is in a lull, right? We're just in a waiting period, you know, between the old administration and the new administration. So if the new administration is coming in, they need to start quickly. They need to get the economic team assembled quite quickly, unlike this outgoing administration, so we can know the direction they're going, and they need to get moving on, you know, making the sort of pronouncements and announcements and policy decisions that the international community would look at and say, you know, Nigeria would be a good place to invest in again. And also security, right? It's been the bane on every government's neck for the past number of years, and so the incoming president has to deal with the farmer herder crisis immediately, because it is getting worse right now. It seemed as if during the election the whole thing stalled, but right after the election it's gotten far worse, and I think the scale of it is far more than even the media knows, and his media is allowed to report, because I know there's some self-censorship. So the incoming government needs to concentrate on that, security and the economy, and I think we can kickstart from there.
And what about engaging the citizenry? Some will say that there's a lot of dissatisfaction that has been felt by a lot of the young people who came out to vote and maybe were denied the opportunities to cast their vote, or don't believe in the strength, or will I say the work that INEC carried out in the past election. What must this government be doing to reduce voter apathy? We saw the numbers drop between the federal, the general elections and the state elections.
The state ones, yes. So if you're a government and you come in with no legitimacy from the people, you would find it hard to govern. So this government needs to find legitimacy amongst the people. Right now, it's dicey, right? Because there are lots of dissatisfied young people out there. And so the government needs to signal to young people, to young Nigerians, that it's coming in not with any sort of preconceived mindset. Right, it's coming in with open arms. It's coming in willing to listen to ideas, because at the end of the day, whatever party you support, what you want is a better country for yourself and your children at the end of the day. And so if this government comes in and says, you know what, we're open to listen to ideas from all sides, let's sit down together, I think that will go a long way.
Indeed, a government that listens, I think, is representative of the democracy that we so desire in Nigeria. Thank you very much, Adiola Onikoyi, for your contributions on Rubbin Minds. We'll go for a quick break on Rubbin Minds. Do join us again. Welcome back to Rubbin Minds. Yesterday, arguably, was one of the biggest nights in African entertainment, as we had the Africa Magic's Viewer Choice Awards, the 9th edition. And as we all know, the AMVCAs are known for fashion, the pomp, the pageantry, but also rewarding those that work in front and behind the camera. And there were quite a number of surprise wins. It's a mixed bag. We have some that were voted for by the voting public across Africa, as well as some that were decided by an independent academy or jury. So to discuss the awards, I have with me Damilare Babatunde, who runs, I believe, a film media outlet, a film journalist. Damilare, it's good to have you. Damilare, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Thanks to be here.
Welcome to Rubbin Minds. So let's go right into the AMVCAs. Did you expect anybody to win and didn't win? Were there any surprises? And what was the biggest win for you of the night?
Yes. So like you said, there's always surprises and, of course, upsets whenever there's an award ceremony. And for the AMVCAs that went down last night, we had Anikulapo taking 6 wins out of its 16 nominations. And, of course, Brotherhood taking 5 wins out of its 11 nominations. But the biggest upset is Battle on Booker Street, which had 10 nominations but had 0 wins last night. And of course, we also have Shantytown that had 11 nominations and just 1 win. So for Battle on Booker Street, right, it is very interesting because that film is the highest grossing Nollywood film at the box office with over 600 million naira. And, you know, for the film to not get an award out of its 10 nominations, it's very, very much a big upset. There were also some categories such as Best Actor, which of course had some very, very, feedback in terms of the Anikulapo lead actor, Kunle Remi, not getting a nomination. And of course, when the final list was revealed last night, Tobi Bakare took home the Best Actor for a drama in that category. And then, of course, you have a new category that was included, which is the social media Best Content category, where Elonizana and Kiki, the one known for a short film that they did called Back to the Future, right? And then, of course, that category.
I'd just like to jump in here. You mentioned the best film and the best actors. And you mentioned the upset. I want to go back to that upset of Battle on Booker Street. For several editions, we've seen Funke Akindele come out to win the Best Comedy Actress. And this time around, I believe it was Bimbo Ademoye who won. And it was such a surprise to her. She didn't have any speech prepared. Would you consider that an upset? And is that due to a change in the voting generation? Would you say that we're seeing more maybe young people support young actors? Because everybody was expecting, like you said, to at least see Funke win another award and that movie, because it's the highest grossing movie of all time in Nollywood.
Awesome. I think you said it there, right? Again, we also need to understand the backstory of Bimbo Ademoye. Bimbo Ademoye has put a lot of very interesting projects in a couple of years, and she hasn't gotten any nomination for AMVCA. So this year, when her name was listed in the category for Best Actress in a Comedy, of course, all of our fans stood up and raised noise and raised interest on this babe must win this particular category. And of course, last night when she won it, of course, nobody knew she was going to beat Funke Akindele, like you said, because she has been winning this award back to back with a very, very strong base across, not just in Nigeria, but across Africa. She has a very, very strong voting base. So to see Bimbo Ademoye best in that category, I think clearly you can say it is a very, very interesting surprise as well as an upset, if you want to put it that way. Yes.
Now let's move to the Best Actor, Best Actress. I know that's hotly contested, and a lot of people go out on social media to engage their fan base to ensure they deliver the votes. Toby Bakre winning Best Actor, and Osasi Godaro winning Best Actress for the second year running. Did that come as a surprise to you? And who did you think were going to pick up those gongs?
Yes, like you said, very, very hotly contested categories. We had Toby Bakare, we had Chidimo Piano from Shantytown, we even had Blossom Chukwu from Detroit. Those were like the top 3 favorites to win in that category. But of course, because of Toby's Bakare's new project, which is like Gangs of Lagos, it still has sort of like a very high interest and attention and noise to be able to pull that voting category to his side. Again, right, I think that like all the actors that were listed in that nominations, they absolutely deserved to win that award. But of course, Toby Bakare was able to pull through and win the Best Actor. Now, let's move on to Best Actress. That is a very, very interesting upset because if you look at that nominations, right, we had Nse Etim from Shantytown. We also had Iniedo from Shantytown. I think those were like the 2 favorites to win in that particular category. And Osasi Godaro, who also won last year, came up again this year and absolutely took up that award. It was a huge upset. Like you said, a lot of people were commenting on Twitter on how that category, that award, rather should have gone to another favorite of theirs. But I think, like you said, this is like a popularity contest, and whoever runs the best campaign or whoever is able to pull the highest votes is the person, you know, that wins this particular category. So yes, a lot of people, a lot of audiences were not expecting Osas to win, but at the end of the day, she became a winner, and she's now the best actress in a drama for AMVCA 2023.
Now let's look at the biggest awards. I think will be the film, the best film, as well as the best director. Do you feel that Anikulapo, what's the best film? I believe that's decided by the jury. So it has nothing to do with a popularity contest. And then we also had the best director, which went to the director of Brotherhood. Do you feel that these represents, given just the amount of work that has come out in our cinemas, on streaming platforms, on television, that this is the best of African filmmaking?
Yes, so I want to clarify there were 2 very big categories last night. There was one best overall movie, and then there's another of best West African movie. So for best West African movie, that was won by Brotherhood, which was produced by Jadeshola Oshibere and directed by Lukman Ali. And then, of course, Anikulapo won best overall film, which is Anikulapo, without a doubt, those two projects were one of the strongest Nollywood projects that came out last year, and they are absolutely deserving in that win. But again, if you look at from a directing standpoint, you have Lukman Ali, who's one of the hottest new generational talents coming out from Africa. He's a Ugandan filmmaker who was tapped to direct this action blockbuster. Of course, the film did well in cinemas. It did over 300 million in cinemas, and everybody absolutely loved it. So again, it just points to the fact that it's an exciting time for Lukman, especially, who is a Ugandan filmmaker, you know, coming here to the Nigerian film industry to direct a film. And of course, he's even taking home this win. And of course, Aníkúlá Kúnlé-Afúnláyọ̀, of course, he has been there for more than a decade. He knows what he's doing. So to be honest, I wasn't surprised that he took home the best overall film. And if you notice something also...
That synergy of seeing more African countries coming together on a project. I mean, Lukman Ali, that is based Ugandan, also his film that he directed, Brotherhood, won the best film in West Africa. And I believe it was the Southern Africa category that had Elvis Chooks, who is a Nigerian, coming up on stage to receive the award. Unfortunately, that's all we can take on this segment. Thank you very much again, Damilare Babatunde, for your contributions on Rubbin Minds. You're still tuned in to Rubbin Minds. Before the break, we discussed some of the upsets and the expectations of the African Magic Viewers' Choice Awards, the AMVCAs, which held its 9th edition yesterday, arguably the biggest platform for rewarding filmmakers and TV practitioners in Africa. Now we're going to move to the pizzazz, the pomp and the pageantry, the fashion. We all know that everybody dresses to the nines, and just going through different social media platforms, there were a lot of hits and a lot of misses. But to discuss the very iconic, strange, beautiful, handsome, weird looks on the black carpet, I have with me a media personality and self-confessed industry baby. I like that. Ayo Lawal, welcome to Rubbin Minds.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
And we also have joining us virtually celebrity stylist, Style Infidel. Welcome to Rubbin Minds. So let's go straight into the conversation. We have Style Infidel. Can you hear me? I believe, okay, yes, you're now tuned in to Rubbin Minds. Welcome. Let's go straight into the hits and the misses. So I'll start with you, Ayo, and let me know your top 3 looks, male and female, and then Style Infidel, I'll come to you. So also get ready, your top 3 female looks and top 3 male looks.
Okay, I'll start with the females.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, the first look that comes to mind is the host, Zozie.
Okay, her first dress?
A second dress.
A second dress,
with the,
okay.
Gold and the black outfit. Oh my God.
Okay.
From when I saw the picture of the outfits, once you walked across on stage, everything about the outfit looked like heavenly. It looked fantastic. It looked like it was made for her. So shout out to Larida Silva Ajayi for that outfit, and shout out to Damola, the stylist.
Okay.
The second outfit that comes to mind is Venita Kpofure.
I believe she was channeling this Catwoman vibe,
this Catwoman black
with the
vibe.
silver hair.
Really cool, actually. I think all 3 award season, from all the shows that AMVCA has put together, I feel like she has really brought it. She was very, very prepared for AMVCA this year.
Yeah, she won the best dress for the culture night in the pink, I think, Urobo outfit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so shout out to her. I was kind of expecting something very fantastic from her. She delivered fantastic.
Yeah, it was a very edgy look. And your third for the females?
My third for the females, I would say we'll have to go to Sharon Oja.
Okay, that was a white number.
A white number, a 2-piece. So shout out to Damola again. He started that style, the host. Killed it, fantastic look. It was very Sharon. I loved how like her hair was cut short. It wasn't giving the full European wig and everything. Like everything was perfect. These accessories, silver, diamond, like it was perfect, honestly. Like when I saw the look, I was like, yeah, this is perfect.
Just before you go to your top 3 male looks, okay, I'd like to hear from Style Infidel on your top 3 female looks. Style Infidel, can you hear me? Go on.
I can hear you clearly. My top 3 looks, right?
female.
Okay, my top 3 looks. First on my list would have to be Inse Etim in Toji Foye. I think she looked phenomenal. She looked like a red carpet familiar. She took the 50s silhouette, took something from Charles James, something from Zach Cousin, and delivered red carpet glamour. That is the glamour we live for. That is the glamour we want on the carpet. Well thought out, well curated. Number 2 on my list will definitely be someone I style, Toby Bakary. And Toby Bakary was spotted in a two-tone talks by Samuel Craig. And I think we pushed beyond the norm. We put him in a pink suit, which is not what you would normally gravitate towards on the red carpet. But most times we always get to look at things that photograph well, because you never can trust red carpet paparazzi. So we picked pink, we highlighted it with black, and it looks good. Number 3 on my list would be Nana Akodua in the Van Couture. And she brings her A game every damn time. Sorry for using the D word. But she brings her A game every time. Color.
I believe that Nana's outfit was very futuristic, very edgy, almost robotic with the
very
tone.
Sci-fi. She gave us sci-fi. It was sci-fi, it was artistic, it was contemporary. The fit was immaculate. She looked efficient in that Divan Couture piece. And I'm still really surprised she didn't make best dress. Although, yes, they said they have their terms and conditions and blah, 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 blah. But those are my top 3.
Okay, we'll come back to your other looks because I know you mixed the male and the female looks. Interesting to mention Toby Bakary's look. I enjoyed that look. And another person's look that I liked, picking up on what Style Infidel said about being able to use tones of pink and purple on the red carpet. Yes, I think he really did a great job.
Fantastic job.
So let me hear, I hope I've not
honestly, who
was your top 3 for the males?
He's part of my top 3. Like, I mean, I feel like Topper Tadella brings it every time to the AMVCA. I remember last year he wore like a green outfit, and I was like, oh my god, this is a best dressed outfit. This is the best dressed male outfit. So I just hope that one day gets like the flowers that he deserves based on his outfit. So Topper Tadella definitely. Temisan Emmanuel.
He wore a corset.
What a corset. So like, I really like the vibe of that outfit. I love everything about the outfit. It's different. It's not what you usually find on the AMVCA.
He was pushing the envelope.
Was definitely pushing the envelope. The only other person I would expect to see something like that from is Denola Gray, and he didn't come for the AMVCAs this year. So like, it was very nice to see somebody push the envelope. Then thirdly, I would say my third look from the night would have to be
male,
yeah, it would have to be Toby Bakary, honestly. Like, when I saw the pink suits, I was like, no, starting Fidel, shout out to you, Mr. Tosi, killing it every time. I was like, no, this is an amazing look. It's a winner's look. Shout out to him for winning. I was very excited. I was stressed on top of my voice. Yes, yeah. So yeah, those are my things.
Interesting. The 3 that you chose, none of them won best dressed, either male or female. But we know that's a popularity contest, and you have to go to the Africa Magic page and actually within an allotted time. I think out of the males, somebody that I really liked what he wore was Kaneng Jr.
Oh, yes. Kanaga Jr., yeah.
Yes, I liked the whole blue ensemble.
The whole Agbada looking thing with the cap.
Okay, now let's look at the misses. What, like 3 misses? It could be male or female.
Misses, definitely have to start with Emmanuel. He wore like a flowery outfit. Okay, so I get the concept of the outfit. I get what he's trying to do with the outfit, but I don't think it was executed properly. So I think, based off on the execution, I have to give him like a 20%, honestly. Wow. But I get the idea of the outfit. They could have toned down the flowers, maybe bring it down a little bit. But overall, I think it could have done a bit more.
2 more people that were misses.
I would say it was really a miss, but like, it was very underwhelming. I have to say Chioma Goodhair, because I was expecting a lot from Chioma Goodhair. Chioma Goodhair is a fashion icon, like in her rights. Like, you expect to see, once you see Chioma Goodhair outside, you expect to see like an amazing outfit, and I didn't get that. Like the dress wasn't bad. Like, I won't lie, but if I tell someone else,
it wouldn't make top 20.
Exactly. Like, I was like, Chioma, you can do definitely.
And your third miss?
My third miss would have to be Blue Avia from Big Brother. I get the concept of the outfits. It could have been better. They could have done way better. It looked like it was made like a welder or something. Like, it didn't look as professional. It looked tacky. It didn't look good. It was a nice fit. Apart from that, I can't see anything else good about the outfits. I could get what they were trying to go for, but they didn't bring it, honestly.
Let me move quickly to Style Infidel, and I would like to get your thoughts on the $20,000, I believe, Tolu Bali dress that Tacha wore, and she came with the receipts all over the internet. Was that a $20,000 look, in your opinion? And who are your misses? What outfit didn't do it for you on the black carpet?
Okay, I would say this. It's very okay to miss a mark. I mean, she delivered last year in Extra Bright Lakes. She did very well last year. And I feel the need to start posting receipts and telling us how expensive your dress is pretty much a total lapse of taste. I mean, I'd rather probably go for like a vintage LDA. I know that I'm paying that much for that dress. So a vintage Lanvin or something. Don't come and try to convince us as to why we need to love your dress. It's fine. You missed the mark this year. There's next year. You can do better.
And your misses
would be Emmanuel. I didn't know. Yes, my top 3 misses would definitely, number 1 on my list would be Emmanuel. I didn't know what was going on. I mean, I get the whole direction. If it was to Fashion Week or some fashion events, I think he would have pulled it off. And it's what a lot of celebrities need to know, that it's a movie award. There's a dress code. It's formal. They're not even restricting you to black tie. It's a formal. That means you can wear our traditional formal looks to the event. So Emmanuel, definitely number 1. I didn't know what was going on there. Number 2 will be, I mean, we just talked about it now, would be Tacha. It was just too much going on. It was just too much going on. There was string, there was feathers, there was blings, there was puff sleeves. It was just a whole lot. Like, they didn't even take our time to edit it. It was chaotic, very chaotic. Number 3 on my list would be Beauty Tukura. And who won Best Dress? Obviously, based on popularity votes and all of that. But that was tacky to the power of 10. It was a mess.
You mean her first dress, not the one she received the award for Best Dress in?
The world is going on here.
Okay, I heard you saying you don't.
It was green. It felt like a tacky version of Little Mermaid.
Yes, I definitely saw the mermaid theme being channeled, and she was. I think everyone saw like what was meant to be scales on the side of it. I wanted to get your take on some of the more bizarre looks. I mean, we have people like Toyin Lawani, we have people like Ifu Enada. What were those looks? Do you think they pushed the envelope and they were right for the occasion?
Okay, so pushing the envelope and being right for the occasion are 2 very different things. I think right from time, Toyin Lawani is always someone that we know to always want to try something daring, want to try something different. But for Enada, I think she just enjoyed the attention that comes with her wearing like bizarre outfits. Like, I mean, last year everyone was talking about outfits, how like he had skulls and masks and everything. Fair. I didn't think it was right for the AMVCA, but I think it was a good outfit. Like, it could have worked for a different kind of events. But this year, I didn't see what the dress was. It looks like a gym water bottle. Like,
wow, a gym water bottle.
Yeah, like, have you seen those gym water bottles? They look like weights. Like,
yes.
That's very by guts. It looked very last minute. It looked very tacky. It didn't look nice. It didn't look properly done. Unlike last year, where it just actually looked properly done, but it didn't look right for the event. But this year, it just didn't even look done. It just looked like she wanted to get the attention based off wearing the outfit. Simple. That's what.
Okay. I'll move to Style Infidel. What about the bizarre looks? And I think my question to you would be: we all saw Thames at the Oscars where you wear an outfit and it almost becomes a person on its own, taking a whole personality. And the question that always comes up in people's minds in some of these bizarre outfits is, how does this person sit down? How do the people around them feel about the outfit? So for the AMVCAs, we saw some people with long trains, some people with outfits that they could barely move in. Is that right? And is that good for fashion in Nigeria?
Well, I get the part of wanting to be a headliner on the red carpet. So for most people, there's always a plan B and a plan C. So if I get to the carpet with my plan A, do my press, do everything I have to do, and then I go back to change, and I'm not coming back until when it's close to the event. But in this case, I've said it over and over again, AMVCA is not the Met Gala. It's not a costume gala. It is not. I get the part of pushing the boundaries. You can push the boundaries with colors, with cuts, even with design. But you need to understand that it's not a costume gala. It is not. So, I mean, all of that, yes, you want to get on a list, you want to be talked about, but there are better ways to land on a best dressed list without necessarily sparking unnecessary debate and all of that. And even if you wanted to wear that, it could have been better done. It could have been tastefully done. It was just too everywhere. It was just too everywhere. In my own critical opinion, that is debatable. But to be honest, I think you really need to understand an event before you step out to the event. Even with me over time, I've come to realize that even with clients, comfort is very key.
Comfort is very key, and understanding the event you're attending is also important. Final words on fashion for, I'll say, more movie events coming up. What would you like to see from Nigerians?
Honestly, like, I have to be very honest with you. Like, I really liked what I saw in Red Carpet this year as opposed to last year. I think this year, the Red Carpet was way better than last year. So I would say more originality. I see people trying to infuse our Africanness into like the fashion. I like that. Let's keep doing that. Let's try to push the envelope. Let's try to tone it down sometimes, not every time.
More originality and more fusion of our local elements. That's all we can take on Rubbin Minds. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ayo Lawal, a media personality and industry baby. And thank you to celebrity stylist Style Infidel. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for your contributions, and hopefully we'll see better looks at the AMVCAs next year. My name is Isabella Adediji. Thank you for joining us on Rubbin Minds. Good afternoon.